Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Mujeeb. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Mujeeb. The offering of salat and the offering of it properly is a subject which is repeatedly mentioned in the Holy Quran and also in the traditions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. The Holy Prophet ﷺ has repeated this so many times and has carefully gave details of all of its different etiquettes, that there is no aspect of it which is not found in the traditions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. There's an important aspect in this regard which has been mentioned before as well, which is to do with the straightening of the rows. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ has said very clearly that if you do not straighten the rows, then your hearts will become crooked as well. And there can be no more clearer words from which we can realize how important it is to keep our row straight. And in this regard, Imam Sahib saying that there's some other stuff, some further matters that he wishes to explain. The first of these is that there should be no gaps between people who are standing in the rows. And Imam Sahib is saying, although this has been mentioned before, but he wishes to mention it again so that it should be understood very clearly and there should be no ambiguity left in this, and people should always remember it. So there should be no gaps, and the lines should be formed in the proper manner. When the first one is complete, then the second one should be started, and when that was complete, then the third is started. And the line should always begin from the middle. It cannot stand from the left side or the right side. It is completely wrong. So this should be very clearly understood. And in accordance with this, one should make the lines. And the other thing which the Holy Prophet ﷺ has told us very emphatically and with utmost clarity, and not only has he told us, but he has also shown us practically that after the Iqamat would take place, the Holy Prophet ﷺ would often turn around and look back. And sometimes he would go towards the companions and he would touch them on their shoulders and bring their shoulders together, and he used to tell them not to leave any gaps in the middle, and neither should their lines be crooked, and no one should sit ahead or behind anyone. Imam Sahib is saying this is extremely easy to do if you keep some things in mind. For example, wherever you are standing to offer salat, whether you are standing on a carpet or on a prayer mat, then there is a specific place where everyone has to stand. One should stand between the two lines, forming the edges of the top and the at the top or at the back. Your feet should be on the line, just on the line. Your heels should be on the line, and your head should be within the top line. So where you are standing, the heel should be very slightly ahead of the line, in fact, to make sure that he shouldn't be disturbing the person behind. And he should also keep in mind that whatever headgear he is wearing should also be within the line at the front, so that the person standing in front should not touch the person in front. Imam Sahib is saying that otherwise, when the other person gets up in front, then you could touch him and disturb him. In the army, when people make rows, then this is the same principle is applied, that people use their heels to make the line. They keep their heels just in front of the line. Imam Sahib is saying that Huzur, may Allah be his helper, has mentioned this at least twice in his Friday sermons, that you should use your heels to make sure that your lines are straight, because this is not just important for the correction of one's salat, it affects one's entire life. And the way to understand this is that if you don't stand where you are supposed to stand, and your heels are behind, or your head is in front of the front top line, then this becomes one's the way one leads one's entire life. That we don't keep to our own personality, we interfere in other people's personality then, because we exceed the limits. So this is a result of not offering prayers properly. And Imam Sahib is saying that there is nothing more complicated in this. If you understand what to do, then there should be no problem at all. Just as Imam Sahib is saying that this has been mentioned by the Holy Prophet ﷺ repeatedly. So in this regard, Imam Sahib wishes to present some more traditions. So the next tradition is reported by Hazrat Anas radhiyallahu anhu, that the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that, O believers, make your lines straight. They should be completely straight. There should be no space in the middle. You should not stand ahead or behind each other, because in order to properly offer salat, it is essential that lines must be straight. So this is a fundamental teaching of Islam, that to offer the salat properly, and this cannot happen unless the lines are completely straight. In the next tradition, reported by Nu'man bin Bashir radhiyallahu anhu, he said that the Holy Prophet ﷺ used to say, so it doesn't say that the Holy Prophet ﷺ said it once. He said he used to say so, that in a very emphatic manner, that you must keep your line straight, otherwise Allah could put dissension and disparity on your faces or your hearts. And this is something which the Holy Prophet ﷺ used to repeat several times, that he heard him. So it is a very emphatic words, and the instruction is very clear, that you must keep your rows straight in salat, otherwise as a result Allah will will sow the seed of dissent in your faces and in your hearts. So if our hearts become crooked, then what is the point in offering salat? We offer salat to remove the resentment and ill will in our hearts, and we attain purity and goodness. And if we do not stand straight, then this crookedness, the seed of crookedness, will be sown in your hearts and on your faces. In the next tradition, Abu Hurairah relates that the Holy Prophet ﷺ said, with reference to the Holy Prophet ﷺ, that he said, Imam saying that this is about the general instruction about salat, and this is the tradition which Huzur, may Allah be his helper, recently mentioned in one of his sermons, in great detail. He said that the first thing that you will be called to account for on the Day of Judgment will be your salat. So the angels and Allah will ask the person, and the first question would be as to how they offered their salat on the Day of Judgment, with reference to all of his actions. So the first the very first question will be about our salat. So we must make sure while we're living in this world that, and we should make sure that the answer to this question that we will give will be that which would please Allah. Allah knows everything, and no one can lie in front of Allah, or neither can they twist words. One will have to present the truth before Allah, while Allah knows the truth. So the number one thing which Allah will question people on will be their salat, as to whether they offer their salat regularly, whether they did their salat to the best of their ability. And then the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that if this account is okay, then that person is successful, and he has attained salvation. So he became successful in his accountability, and also he was saved from hell, and he was granted heaven. So all this is done if his salat account is good. But if something goes wrong with this, then he will lose the he will go in loss, and he will not gain paradise, and he will suffer extreme loss. And then the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that if a person, if there is a lack in the obligatory prayers of someone, then Allah is so glorious and merciful that out of His mercy He will say to the angels that take a look at this person's extra prayers, their nafil prayers, and see if there is any of those. So if there is any lack of the performance of the obligatory prayers, then are there any extra prayers which have been performed? It's a very beautiful example of Allah's mercy, that if there is any shortfall in His obligatory prayers, then has He offered any extra prayers? So this points towards the blessings of offering extra prayers. So if the person has offered any extra prayers, then the faults or the shortfall that has been that is found in the obligatory prayers will be filled with the extra prayers. And if this happens, then that will his extra prayers will be written into his will be added to his obligatory prayers, and so they will become as if his obligatory prayers. So this is an expression of mercy by Allah, and this becomes very clearly apparent to us that while it is essential to offer our obligatory prayers, it is also extremely important to pay attention to our nafil or extra prayers as well. And especially in this month, we have to be very careful. We should try our best to not only offer the 5 obligatory prayers, we should offer the nafil prayers whenever they are allowed, and this should become a habit with us, and this habit should then continue throughout our lives, so that just in case, if without our intention, if there is any shortfall in our obligatory prayers, then Allah can with our extra prayers will be able to fill those gaps. And Imam Sahib is saying that this month, which is the month of sowing the seed of goodness, and these are the words of Huzur, that this is a time in which one starts to do new good things. So obviously it's important to offer the obligatory prayers, but one should do these extra prayers as well, so that it can become beneficial for us, and we should inculcate this habit of offering nafil prayers, that even after the salat comes to an end, the Ramadan comes to an end, we should continue to offer our auxiliary nafil prayers along with our obligatory prayers, so that any shortfall is met on the Day of Judgment, inshallah. May Allah enable us and grant us the capacity to offer our salat in the way that pleases Allah. Ameen summa ameen.